Well, hey everybody, this video is a long time coming. I constantly get questions about my studio and what it is that the equipment that I've got and how I use it. And I have been, it's changing all the time. We've been doing some upgrades this year, but I'm finally at a place now where I feel like I can show you guys some of the equipment that I'm using, and because I know that's questions you guys have. So come on in and take a look. So this is where I spend probably 12 hours a day, 10, 12 hours a day, just in this window. Well, it's windows in it, but they're all blocked out. And this is where I create pretty much all the content that we use for the podcast, for the training courses that I put out. Literally everything happens in this room. And I guess we'll just start right here. This is my my editing bay. So these are two LG. This is a 5K monitor, and this one's a 4K monitor. And all of the editing that I do is run off this little Mac Mini right here. Now this is a tricked out Mac Mini. It's basically the biggest one that you could buy in 2018. It does a pretty good job. As we get into the 4K and 6K videos, it gets more difficult, but there are ways around that as well. And so I have spent a lot of my time just sitting right here. I craft all of my emails here, all the content that I write, the sales letters, all that happens right here at this station. This right here is what I have been recording all of the live streams that I do for Instagram or for Facebook or anything like that. This is the Shure, I believe it's an 88 Plus microphone, and it just plugs in via USB cable into your phone, and it comes with this handy dandy like little thing to put it on, and then I just have a simple like little mini tripod stand I put this on. But the new Freedom Accelerator podcast, which is the podcast that is, well, I've got like 4 or 5 episodes, but it's officially launching next year. That is all being recorded on this. So if you run a podcast and you think that you need some sort of high-speed equipment like I'm going to show you in a minute, you don't. You absolutely don't. You can get away with something as simple as this. And if you go and listen to the Freedom Accelerator podcast, you're going to hear just how good the audio quality is coming out of that. Now, this is where most of my production happens. So if you see me on the podcast, on the live stream, if you are watching some of the training videos that I do, what's up?
My finger kind of got in the way.
Oh, it's okay. This is an impromptu video. So any of the podcasts, a lot of the training videos I do will all be happening from right here. It'll be shooting back into this direction. And so let's start out back here, Nancy, because this will be easier for people to understand. So I wanted to build a setup that was completely mobile, that I could move around the studio, that I could shoot different angles with, and I wanted everything to be kind of self-contained right on this rack. And so I've done a couple of things. The first thing I did was I mounted a Mac Mini on the back of this stand. Oh, and by the way, just so because I know I'm going to get questions, all of the stuff that I have in here, every piece of it, I will link to it in the description underneath the video. So if you want to do that, you can. But this is, again, it's a brand new Mac Mini. I bought it, I think, at the beginning of this year. And the entire computer system, everything that you're seeing here is run basically on the back of this. And if you're wondering how I mounted it, I actually used one of these. So this is designed for an iPad. So you put an iPad in here, and then you clip it to a pole, and it works really well. But the cool thing is like if I used it on this Mac Mini and I strapped it to it, and so now I have basically that same tool being used to mount the Mac Mini on the back. Then I've got a computer monitor here in the back, right here, that I used initially, but I don't use it much anymore now that I've got the teleprompter and the extra monitor here. The camera that I'm using is a Sony A7 III, Mark III. It's whatever the newest one is. It's a 4K Sony camera. It's beautiful. And I have a nice little, I think it's 24-70 lens on the front of it. If you come down here, Nance, a little bit lower, you're going to see that the camera and the gimbal, the camera and the teleprompter are all mounted via this one rocker arm that I've tied into the base of the stand here. I got a little bit of weight on the bottom of it so that it doesn't fall forward, and it's all on wheels, so I can roll it around. And the only 2 cables that actually come off of this, actually there's 3 now, are these 3 cables. This is a power cable, an internet cable, and then this is just an extra one that I was running to the new monitor that I mounted. But technically what will happen is I need to remount this to run into the back of here. To have all of my power in the same place, I bought one of these little power boxes and I just strapped it, Velcroed it right to the back of this monitor. So it's kind of cool that all this stuff is Velcroed on, and you can rip it off and Velcro, re-Velcro it in other places. Velcro has become really my new best friend in this place. All right. Now, in addition to that, I'll get to this, this thing here in a minute, but in addition to that, I have a boom pole here, and the boom pole has a shotgun microphone, and I use the shotgun microphone for non-podcast videos. If you want to know, this is the Rode NTG 3. Yeah, it's the Rode NTG 3 microphone. I love it. It's absolutely one of the best purchases I've ever made. Having a decent shotgun microphone takes your audio quality to an entirely new level. And this is super lightweight boom pole. And it extends all the way out, so I can turn and adjust this wherever I need it to go. So I have it back, and then as soon as I want to record a video, I just bring the boom arm out, and I position it exactly where I need it to go. If I need to turn it, I just take it like this, and I can turn it wherever I need it to go. It's really such a versatile setup. Now, moving right along. What's next? Let's move around. Actually, let's come in here a little tighter if you can, Nance, and let me show them this. So this is the Glide Gear teleprompter. And the nice thing about this is it folds down really compact and has its own little carrying case that'll allow you to take it on the road. And one of the things for me in 2020 and beyond is making sure every piece of gear that I have is mobile. Because I want to be able to take all of this on the road with me and have a completely mobile setup anytime I want. And one of the things that I do a lot of, because of the work that I do and the trainings and the live events that I hold right here from the studio, is I do a lot of like looking into a camera, and people are looking at me looking into the camera. But the problem is I just see a camera, and that's a kind of an annoying thing, right? I just realized that this is like totally in my way while I'm trying to talk to you guys. Here, there we go. Move that out of the way. So what I did was I bought this 4K monitor. It's just like an 8-inch monitor. It's made by Lilliput, and I will give you a link in the description if you want to buy this exact one. I love it. It's amazing. But essentially what this is it's a second monitor that shoots up into the glass on this teleprompter, and I can actually see the Zoom meeting that I'm having. So when you guys are sitting around with your Zoom meetings and you're like looking down and you're all hunched over your computer, like all I have to do is just look straight into this monitor and I can see everything that's going on. If I'm holding an interview or we're having a podcast, I can literally look at whoever's talking or myself if I need to, and it just creates a different kind of experience because I'm not looking up, I'm not looking sideways to check my image and make sure it's all right. It's literally right there. And so also when I record my own content for the training courses and stuff, and I want to do some face-to-face shooting, it's really simple because I can easily bounce back and forth between the camera shot and say a desktop share. And I do that using this little box right down here. This is the Stream Deck. And in another video, I'll break out how I actually do all my live streams. But essentially, this is a custom switcher where I can make each one of these buttons do a different thing. And so while I'm sitting here doing the show and I'm switching from, say, a camera of me to a camera of Matt to a screen share, it all happens with the touch of a button using this very simple and easy to use product. As far as audio goes, this is my audio mixer. I used to use the really big Rodecaster Pro. It's still actually over there in the box, on a shelf. But again, wanting to make everything more mobile, more user-friendly, easy to get on the road, I moved over to this MixPre 6, and I absolutely love it. It's one of the best buys I've ever made. And it's versatile, it's easy to use, and I can take it with me anywhere. It goes in a bag. It's phenomenal. Now, in terms of lighting, they're bicolor lights, meaning you can make them daylight or daylight or tungsten. And they're made by a company called Falcon Eyes, and this is the SO48TD. And there are a couple of different versions of this. The 48 is talking about the circumference. They make smaller ones, they make bigger ones, but these ones seem to be the right size for this studio. And the nice thing about this is, and I'll probably ruin the shot if I do this, but these have diffusion built into them. So normally when you would do some sort of like video production, the LED lights that we have are really harsh. Like they cause really hard shadows on your faces. And so what most people will do is they'll softbox them, meaning they'll put a box around them with some diffusion that cuts down on the harshness of those lights. Well, the great thing about these is that these LEDs aren't actually sitting facing out. They're all facing inward. So we get this nice little diffused panel that we can adjust the color temperature of to make it just the right color for our face and for the environment that we're in. These are really cheap too. They're not expensive lights. I mean, I've paid $600, $800 for LED lights before. These are really, really well-priced lights. Finishing up on the audio stuff, this is the microphone that I'm currently using for the podcast. This is it's called the, of course I'm going to forget the name. It's called the Lewitt 440 Pure. And I'm really liking this microphone. It's working great, and it's very lightweight, and it travels well. So I was using the Shure SM7B microphone, one of my favorite mics, but it's big and heavy, and I didn't want to have to lug that around in my mobile studio setup. So this breaks down really easy and just goes right into the bag, and I'll show you my travel kit here in a second. Finally, as many of you have seen, I do some straight up videos, but I also do some quick hit videos where I might want to like very quickly write out a script and then record a video. And to do that, I use this little setup here. So all I got to do, the nice thing about this is I just pull out my chair, and if I'm sitting here working, all I got to do to record the video is just turn like this. And now all of a sudden I have another angle to shoot, and I can shoot it back into this other corner. Now, to handle all of my teleprompter stuff, because a lot of people say, "Dude, you memorize all those videos that you do?" And it's like, no, I can barely remember a list of 3 things when I go to the grocery store. I'm using this. It's called the Padcaster. It's made by a company called Padcaster. It's called the Parrot Teleprompter. And when you buy this, it's like $120 or something. It comes with a bunch of different rings to go on your camera. Just slides over the top. And then what you do is, remove the cover, you just take your cell phone that Nancy's holding right now, and you just stick it down in here. And just like this other teleprompter, the words shoot up onto the screen, and you use the accompanying app that they've got on the cell phone to, put your script up there, and then you just read off the script. It also comes with this really handy little stop and go thing, which for me is essential because I screw up all the time, and then I got to back it up and re-record. And so this keeps me from having to get up and go and move it on manually on my cell phone. I can just use this little app. Finally, down here, we've got the Asus external monitor. I bought this specifically for travel because you can look at this. It is super thin, very lightweight, and works really, really well. Basically, a nice little 16:9 monitor. And then the last thing I got was this Thunderbolt 3 docking station. It turns out if you use a Mac Mini, or if you're using a laptop, some of the laptops, most of you guys might be operating just off a laptop, you need more ports. I need USB ports, USB-C ports. I need all kinds of extra stuff, SD cards to do editing. So this has all of that, and it makes it super easy. Again, when I take this kit on the road and break it down, to have all of this, to have it easily set up and torn down. In terms of audio and how I listen to my own audio, I use these. These are made by Shure as well. These are the 215s. Okay. Just as a side note, you don't need anything better than, I think the 215s are the cheapest ones that they offer. You don't need more than that, because it's just, especially with podcasting, unless you're a vocalist and you're singing, music with a band behind you, you don't need anything other than just the basic, very bottom of the barrel sort of like earphones. What else do I have in here that you want to pay attention to? That's probably it. That's a lot of stuff, but let me show you my kit right now, because I'm building this out. So as I said, one of my big things is nomadic wealth, being able to travel wherever you want to, take your business with you, make it mobile. And this has been something that I've been actively pursuing this year, especially after COVID. And what I've come up with, and this is really just coming together right now, is a box that I can store literally everything I need. So the gear that you see here will all fit into here. I also have a drone and a bunch of other stuff. Here's another Falcon Eyes light that I take on the road. This is the 28 TD, so it's a little bit smaller than these big ones, but it's great for travel. And then I went ahead and got a little like an extended carry pouch for the top of this thing. All of it seals up into this Pelican Air case. Now, this is the 1615 case, okay? And this is important because I did a lot of research on this. The reason that I went with the 1615 Pelican Air is because it is the biggest Pelican case that you can take on an airplane. If you go any bigger than this, the airplane will not won't let you carry it on the plane, or you'll have to pay this huge upcharge because of the size. It's over the size limits. This comes in under the size limits for every major airline in America, and it's super lightweight. The air cases made by Pelican are just as sturdy, just as strong, but they save you about 5 pounds of weight. So that's another really nice reason when you're trying to, avoid those overages when you're traveling with your kit. But essentially, guys, that's it. I will have a link to all of this stuff in the description under the video. You do not need a big space in order to create a lot of content, and you don't need a lot of fancy gear either. Keep in mind, this is at least 5 years of me assembling gear and building it and creating what is the perfect studio setup for me. What you will need will be different. And the great thing is that you can start out just with a cell phone. I mean, we literally recorded this entire training video on a cell phone. And you can do the same thing. In fact, in another video, I'll show you how you can create a pared down live streaming setup using the camera in your phone as the camera for your live stream, while using your computer and having all of the extra switching capabilities and lower third graphics and stuff that we all want to have when we're creating a really cool live stream. So I hope this was helpful. If you got questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the questions and I will do my best to answer them, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.